Attitude is everything. Teach a new dog some old tricks. A builder who stops to smell the flowers. And a rotting reunion for the legends of Indy. What once was a dying breed is now a growing culture. Contemporary hot rodding continues to evolve into one of America's largest automotive fellowships, with fellowship being the key word because in addition to actually rodding, rodders get together to swap stories and help each other out through life's ups and downs. That's what rodding is all about. Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Rod. I'm your host Jeff Probst. Sit back and get ready for some of the best automotive entertainment around. Well, we all have our favorite rod run or picnic that we attend every year, and usually the pace is pretty comfortable, laid back. Getting there is half the fun. Then there are the shows where action is the rule and the events are non-stop. Indy. The very mention of this majestic place conjures up images of great automotive events and legends of auto racing's past. Many only think of Indy as the great race place, but it's quickly gaining national respect among street rod enthusiasts as a premier spot for rod and custom excitement. The 6th Good Guys Indy Hot Rod Happening, held at Indianapolis Raceway Park, featured the best of both hot rodding worlds as a huge outdoor show and shine featuring over 3,000 cars was joined by the Midwest's largest nostalgia drag racing event. This 3-day-long Hot Rodders Paradise is unique in that it's the only rod and custom event in the country that blends a car show with a wide-open, full-throttle nostalgia drag race. Nothing in Indianapolis is ever done on a small scale, and the Good Guys Indy Hot Rod Happening was no exception. Among the 3,000 pre-1963 rods and customs was virtually every make, model, shape, and style of American iron. Mild to wild, blown and bad, chopped and dropped, they could all be found cruising. And cruised they did. 1,000 participants got the rare opportunity to take a lap around the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Indy has always had a reputation of drawing some of the finest cars in the nation, and it's here that all the time spent refining and detailing comes to the surface, creating a spectacle of design and creativity. Owners and builders get a very special chance to bask in the limelight and strut their stuff in hopes of receiving one of rodding's highest honors, the coveted Boyd's Pros Pick.
Boyd decided to do Pros Pick with the intention of giving the individual that takes the time and the effort to build the kind of car or attain the look that we feel in the industry is the hot rod look. That's what Boyd really likes is the hot rod look.
The Sweet 16 awards, presented annually, carry with them the tradition of being a must-have item. Over 100 rod and customs entered. Saturday morning saw a sample of Indy's finest shuffle into the Pros Pick area to be looked over by Boyd's Pros Pick crew. Craftsmanship, ingenuity, body and paint, and interior design all played pivotal roles in most of the Pros Pick selections. While the huge show and shine occupied the majority of the IRP facility, the world-famous quarter-mile drag strip played host to some tire-smoking action, nostalgia style. Hundreds of vintage racing vehicles barnstormed the racetrack, sending billowing smoke and nitro fumes high into the Indiana sky. One of the biggest names in drag racing history returned to IRP in the very same car that started his career. Big Daddy Don Garlits brought back the best of memories as he made several exhibition runs in his 392 Hemi-powered Swamp Rat 1 front-motored dragster.
Swamp Rat 1 is a special car to me. I was nobody. I was a kid from Florida. I built the car in 1956 out of a set of Chevy frame rails that I cut out of a Chevrolet four-door sedan out in the junkyard. I took that frame out of that car with a hammer and a cold chisel. I got the scars on my hands to prove it. Well, we went up to Brooksville on November the 10th, 1957, and went 176.4 with Swamp Rat 1. And they did know who Don Garlits was then.
Another car that was big on the fans' wish list was the Northern California-based Pure Hell Fuel Altered of racing legend Rich Guasco. In an exclusive match race with Rex Stevens' Dawson's Demon 34 Ford Fuel Coupe, Pure Hell driver Larry Huff laid down some incredibly quick and fast numbers en route to a big win. While the exhibition cars got most of the crowd's attention, class after class of hot rods and street machines got a chance to run it out down the IRP quarter mile, and in the process have the time of their lives. Unfortunately, Sunday's action was cut short due to a Midwest thunderstorm that rivaled the fuel cars in sheer power. All of Sunday afternoon's activities were rained out, forcing a premature close to what was the largest and most successful nostalgia hot rodding event in history. The 6th Good Guys Indy Hot Rod Happening will be remembered as an event that united history, power, and victory. It was a memorable weekend for anyone looking to return to the earlier times of great cars, good people, and a historic place called Indy. Events like Indy really give people a chance to get involved, and believe it or not, Good Guys Gary Metter says there is even more on the Indy menu for next year. Now, for some rod builders out there, the daily special means dealing with the full plate. Team Posies is one of the most diverse organizations around, and Ken Fennicle took some rare time out to tell us why.
Team effort's a major item in our shop because we're a small shop. This team effort surfaces constantly. It also makes for good attitude in the shop. I wander the shop sometimes first thing in the morning or at the end of the day, and I'm constantly being called boss. Up until a couple of years ago, until we started getting a nice heavy staff, that boss I never heard about. I never thought of it. It's a heck of a position to be put into, and I have to admit I don't like it. But I found out that on this team we have a lot of guys taking responsibility. So we basically have it broken down into a shop foreman and a team leader, and we have a general manager. We have a team that goes from there down. This is Scott Leitner. Scott, he's all-around, full seniority general man, and he is our head team leader. When it comes right down to needing to know something, Scott seems to know it all. From the inside of the engine, over to the air condition, to wheel and sheet metal, cutting and installing glass. So everybody depends on Scott's knowledge, and in turn, through Max, our general manager, and Scott, myself, I'm able to leave here and do road shows and spend some time with customers, or work on a project car individually by myself off to the side of the shop while things still go forward. In this shot you see Bryce Myers. He's wheeling a piece of sheet metal for us, and in turn that shaping that metal was something that was new to him when he came here. As you can see in this photo, Wendell and Rick are working together. They pre-spray a light black paint over top of gray primer so that when we block the primer surface to come up with a perfectly flat surface, we only have to do it once and we come up with a ripple-free surface. Now we use techniques that most shops don't, and one of the other ones, referring to the team, we'll have guys like this work together so that one stays on top of the other and vice versa. So we come out with the least amount of time overall in the project, and yet to the standards or high quality that we demand for our customer. This is Al. He's checking the fit on this aluminum hood. He's going to make it accurate before we go ahead and prime it. This is Eric and Wayne. They're in the process of doing fiberglass and doing all the air vents that are an exact reproduction of a Ferrari. The chassis of this project is a Pontiac Fiero with an LT1 Corvette engine. Today, we're fortunate enough to have the Zillators come in. They're here for a week of maintenance. We do that once a year. My guys enjoy doing things like this because you get to see somebody else's work and how they do things, and you stand back in awe of these kind of projects. And this is a real road show. Some phenomenal pieces, phenomenal work. At the same time, we use it as a learning curve. We build low suspensions for just about every vehicle that is in full demand. We go anywhere from the Model A's the whole ways up through Fat Fords, bolt-in suspensions to the 50s custom cars, all through the 50s, all the original height springs. Our product line developed from need of good ride for the least investment. We don't want to look into a project to see how complicated we can make it, or how much engineering we can put into it, or how much time we can spend on the Bridgeport and manufacturing these particular items. These springs all are springs that are low but improve the ride of the vehicle. We don't build a spring that lowers a vehicle but it doesn't ride good. If it doesn't improve the ride, we won't make it. We can build lower springs, but that's not proper. So no way at any time do we want to take advantage of the customer. We don't believe in the theory, well, this spring here, this will fit into 10 different cars. We want to build the spring for that project. So we feel that we're the largest manufacturer, largest amount of part numbers, the best inventory and supply. And we say that because we get that feedback from our customers, and that's what they tell us.
Team Posies is one of those rare organizations that do it all, and Ken definitely tells it like it is. Stick around. A little later in the show, we're going to go back to Posies and talk rodding design and direction. Well, one design trend that definitely shows no signs of slowing down is the bad boys of rodding, Pro Street. And if you don't believe me, just hang around and see what it's all about. We all have our own idea of what a hot rod should be. For Dan Walker, it's got to have an attitude. Dan's 34 Chevy Coupe is a great example of the current trend in Pro Street styling that combines the high-tech smooth look, vivid color, and full-on race car stance. The ultraviolet Outlaw Coupe features a 3.5-inch chop top, shaved door handles, custom aluminum grille, a 3-piece hood with double recessed hood sides, and smooth 1-piece running boards and front fenders. A molded-in rear pan and tank cover with flush-mounted taillights finish off the rear, while a Simpson chute awaits the opportunity to blossom at the pull of a lever. Motivation is generated by a healthy billet-dressed 468 cubic inch big block and turbo 400 transmission that sits in an Outlaw Pro Street chassis with Mustang II independent front suspension and a 9-inch Ford rear end with a 4-link coilover suspension in the rear. The Coupe's tough stance is achieved with 15x6 Dragstar wheels up front and 15x14s with 33-21-15 Mickey Thompsons stuffed tightly under the rear fenders. Creature comforts in the tweed-covered interior include a Leccara steering wheel with tilt column, smooth dash with VDO gauges, billet accessories, and remote power windows. Dan's 34 definitely has an attitude, and no matter how you look at it, it's bad. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What I tell you, a ride like that just grabs you and it won't let you go. Like I told you, Pro Street is here to stay. Now, another trend that shows no sign of slowing down is the sport truck. It seems to be the driver of choice for mini rodders, and if you take a close look, you'll see that the sport truck look takes its cues from some legendary styling tricks.
There's no doubt that the modern-day pickup truck drives more like a car than a truck. And because of their styling and versatility, the sport truck has become the most popular choice of daily drivers for most hot rodders. These trucks lend themselves to more vintage hot rod styling than any other production vehicle today. and we'd been putting off modifying our 92 Sportside Chevrolet Shuttle, but a lost battle in the parking lot jungle gives us more than an excuse to put some old hot rod customizing onto our modern-day Transpo. A roll pan in the back, a smooth bumper with a Frenched-in plate, a 94 grill with billet inserts, and a new paint scheme are all on the agenda to trick out our truck. When installing aftermarket parts, especially fiberglass panels, always keep in mind that almost nothing just bolts on. Always make sure and pre-fit before you paint. Most parts will need a little massaging to make them fit just right. After installing our rear pan, we found that a little fiberglass work will be needed to make our pan fit like we want it to. We'll put a little Duraglass on the edges to fill in the gaps. Smooth bumpers can be ordered with or without the license plate Frenched in. To get our plate to fit into the bumper the way we want it, we're going to recess a prefab license plate box into the bumper ourselves. This process is more labor intensive, but the end result can be worth it. If you do it yourself, constant measuring and the right tools will make your Frenching experience a more pleasurable one. If you think metal finishing is your call, anyone who does it will tell you practice makes perfect. Making sure that things are straight, level, and centered is the key to recessing parts that look good. After marking the box with the desired depth for our hole, the edges are trimmed with a cutting wheel, and then the box is tack welded into its final position. Before the final welding is done, the seams are ground down to make sure there will be no high spots on the edges. All the seams are then welded, making sure not to overheat the metal, causing it to warp. The welds are then ground flat with a 36 grit sander. To make sure the edges are clean and free of pinholes, we put a skim coat of body filler on the bumper that we'll sand down before we prime it. Updating the sport side with the 94 grill is a simple modification that yields choice results. You may remember the grill on the 92s had a flatter, more square look. We put tape on the new grill to keep from scratching it when installing the billet inserts. Inner portions of the grill are molded into the factory and must be cut out to be removed. Using a cutter wheel will be the fastest, but if you've never used one before, it may not be the safest. The grill is then filed smooth and the insert is pre-fitted to find the locations for recesses needed for the insert supports. The notches are cut, and the grill inserts are checked for proper fit. Next time we'll continue our customizing, when all our parts will get primed, prepped, painted, and put on, along with a new two-tone paint scheme to give our sport side that hot rod flair.
In the next issue of Rod, we'll finish up this little project, including some painting tricks that I think you're going to like. I, for one, can't wait to see this Rod back out on the road. Well, the real fun always cranks up when you get a chance to straighten out a little asphalt with your favorite bug biter. So let's get to it and take another Rod out on the road.
The day before the 15th Model T was built, Henry Ford announced that Ford Motor Company would build a new car for 1928. This new car would offer more power and comfort than the old Tin Lizzie, yet retain Ford's traditional high-quality construction with a low market price. The highly anticipated successor to the Model T would be introduced as the Model A. In fact, over 400,000 advance orders were taken for the new Ford before the first Model A's rolled off the line. This 29 Model A is a fiberglass replica roadster, painted canary yellow with pink and purple pinstripes. Hot rod modifications include a smooth hood and louvered running boards, wider rear fenders, and a rolled pan with billet taillights. The Model A would boast a slightly longer wheelbase of 3.5 inches and a 9-inch shorter tire than the Model T. This gave the new Model A more stability with a longer and lower center of gravity. Ford also used double-action shock absorbers for the first time to help take the edge off that buggy spring ride. Today our highway hugging Roadster sits on a 21st century style chassis. The Roadster now rides on a 4-bar dropped axle in front and coil-over shocks in back. The suspension supports a total performance frame which is directed by a Mullins Vega gearbox. Stopping is courtesy of Willwood discs and Ford drums. Ford Motor Company's flathead 4-cylinder engine would grow 25 cubic inches bigger when installed in the new Model A. With just over 200 cubic inches, the Model A would be twice as powerful as the Model T. Unusual acceleration, speed, and power without sacrificing reliability would be a trend that wouldn't go out of style for the next 50 years. Today, the drivetrain in our 29 reflects on that attitude with a 355 cubic inch small block Chevrolet with an Edelbrock carbon intake. Mated to a shift-kitted turbo 350 transmission, and a Ford 9-inch gets the gristle to the 15x7 Boyds in back, matched to 14x6s in front. Of all the things that have been said about the Model A, comfortable hasn't been one of them. Originally, these cars were nothing else than basic transportation. But our test rod pampers its pilot with a little modern-day royalty consisting of VDO instrumentation, a Momo steering wheel, tan, tweed, and leather upholstery, and a Sony 10-disc CD changer. The Model A has taken its place as the trunk of the hot rod family tree, and in 1929, Ford Motor Company built just over 122,000 of these Roadsters for a meager $480. Today, this owner-built one-off street rod is a bargain at any price. They say that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. If this is the case, then this yellow 29 might be the best compliment ever given to an American automobile.
Now, while this 29 may not be the perfect choice for your next cross-country road trip, it certainly goes on my Sunday at the Lake top 10 list. Well, there seems to be as many styling directions for street rodding as there are rodders, and some say it's this fact alone that draws thousands of new people into this hobby each year. So what can we expect to see in the coming years? Well, only time and rodders will tell.
1981, I decided that I wanted to make a statement, and that's where our trophy evolved from these ideas of ours that we wanted to put into our own car project and make a statement. 81, we decided we wanted to build a full-fledged custom, but do things that were different to it that weren't traditional. I took a Cadillac LaSalle grill shell and turned it upside down in the front. All the ones I'd seen up to that time were under the hood. We put ours up into the hood, made the hood become part of it. We broke tradition by putting a painted Continental kit on the rear. That wasn't hot roddy, but yet it was part of the car, and the painted Continental kit kept the car flowing. Our vehicles personally are thought about over a long period of time. We like to take the textured pieces of an automobile and make them follow through. We like stainless steel headlight rings, well then we want to see stainless steel taillight rings. At the same time, we want to see a stainless steel license plate frame. We want it carried throughout the vehicle so that the design is consistent. Posies is known for building statements. Our efforts go towards body changes or visual. This 34 Chevy, we were able to do a hood side grill material that matched the Dan Fink grill. There again, to keep a 34 Chevy fiberglass Pro Stock or an individual, or to take it away from some of the other common ones, this car has a center divider in the grill, which took an awful lot of effort. to do. It's easy to look at, but the engineering and the fiberglass structure we were able to accomplish. And in turn, the hood sides with the grill material on it that picks up the grill, we were able to create the windows in the hood side so that they also match the perimeter of the grill. And that's that follow-through that we keep on emphasizing we like to give our projects. This particular project, the gentleman owned a Model A, and he always envisioned a 32 grill shell in the front of his car. So after we installed the 32 grill shell and made a hood top, we thought that maybe it would be time to make the grill belong to the car. So in turn, we created a hood side that had a 32 grill feel, but yet a boxier feel of a Model A. So there again, we were able to pull the design from the front back towards the rear through the hood side. A project that we're presently building that the rendering will eventually surface fall of '94. That particular car is neoclassic, and that automobile is a design which I love, which is European. Neoclassic, flowing fenders, fender skirts, boat tail on the end of the fenders. They actually look like airplane fairings. That kind of look is not hot roddy. So I got to watch myself presenting that to the street rod public here in America because they might not be ready for it. But it's hard to build a body from scratch and still have a traditional hot rod. So we're approaching this project on the basis that we're building this one for me, and if the public likes it, good. And if the public doesn't like the project, I'm going to be the proud owner of it for years to come.
Team Posies continues to set new directions and standards for rodding. Their team approach is healthy for builders and enthusiasts alike. Well, anybody who's been there will tell you that the Good Guys Indy Hot Rod Happening lives up to its name. It really is a happening. So let's hit the tunes and take one last roll around the brickyard. A lap around the Brickyard is a special experience that anyone would cherish, and the good guys made it happen. Well, it's about time to wrap things up. For those of you who sent in photos, be sure and check out our next issue of Rod. The Rodders Rides video is ready to roll. Our thanks to Jim Hart for sliding his 37 delivery our way. Jim, it's a great ride, but we thought you were bringing Pat Smirk. Your next dose of Rod is already in the works with everything to cure your need for TV MyWay.
If you want to get involved with these truly unique classifieds, just send the producers of Rod a photograph or video still of any rod or rod-related item you want to sell, trade, or purchase. You must include a text of 25 words or less, which includes your phone number, along with a description of the item. The cost of this truly unique classified is only $24.95 for a 3-issue run. So get involved in what's sure to become the most popular trading post in the industry, the Rod Swap Shop. To order, just send your information and payment to Butler Video Productions, 14360 Southeast East Gateway, Bellevue, Washington, 98007.